gentlemen, we are back into the Sunrise Show. It's the 3rd of June 2025, Uganda Matters Day celebration. Amanya Vampita Angel Walker. Onako olwalugenda kuba tutunuulira ku nsonga enkulu nnyo ddala, especially our parents, the older persons in this country. We see that the youth population is actually 85%, and the older persons is 2.4% of the national population. Twagala okutunuulira, I mean in terms of their care that is given to them as they grow into the vulnerable stage of life. Is government doing something, or also communally are we doing something to be able to support them at the end of the day? In studio, I'm not alone. We do have G the Guru and Susie the Rich Babe. Let's find out how they're doing before we dive into the topic of discussion. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Babos is more German English. Good morning. But you look nice, so you look like a star.
Thank you.
You know
Darling, I'm a star.
You know when you're gonna premiere the movie? I think that's one of the best outfits you should consider someday.
Really?
That gold brings you out. Some corporate kind of.
Yeah.
Color
No color. So lifestyle.
Tujute about dirty brown.
Dirty brown sounds a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Really?
But let me start on this note.
Gold dust.
Gold
Dust.
Let me start on this note. Do you remember any advice that your grandpa or grandma told you and you still remember that about them? Me, I never had a chance of growing up.
I was going to tell you, me, I don't remember my grandparents.
Me, I won't say advice. Why? Because I was a good girl. But I remember him fighting for me.
Okay.
I went to school with my doll in P6. Boarding. His mother took me to boarding. And teachers were like, oh no, go you want to take my doll away? Now, that girl has been waking up every morning, leaving her doll in bed, coming to school on time. Leave her with her doll. In case you realize that she's being fun, you call me. That's how I kept my doll up to.
Don't cut off my hair because for us, I know a tradition.
I also didn't cut off my hair.
But well, let's envelope what we have on table today in terms of social protection. Social protection, chigambo sounding but in this particular direction, twogera kuba senior citizens of this country. And according to the Uganda Constitution, an older person you are from 65 onwards, and tulabye there is support being given by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. There is that program where they give these older persons some money, at least 25,000 per month, where it's dispersed after 2 months for them to support themselves. There is something that beats my understanding. Wogena mchibuga nolaba abasajja abasitula ebintu ebiri heavy. I ask myself, do they prepare for their retirement?
Maybe not. But me, I want to believe, you know, Angel, we are from different backgrounds. Katuja kwesanganga, maybe that person is from a poor background. The people who come from the villages to the city to come and make a living.
Yeah.
Kati, bulimu afuna watandikira. Ojja kwesanga byogamba okusitula ebyo ebizitowa. It's the easiest way to get into work. But abamu say bakuba and they just start like that.
But you know the most disturbing thing, G, is when you're driving along the road and you find an old man selling masks. There are these questions that come to your mind. Where are his children?
Exactly.
Where is his family? Did he prepare for this moment and time?
Even those old, you've seen those old people who are brought in from the north. Yes, there is actually a time when they flooded the streets, old ladies, old women, and you would wonder, do these people have families?
There is a time we were moving with my children from school, and we met an old man, really old, and he's pushing water on a bicycle. So I told my children, when I looked at him, because he was really old, he was struggling, he had actually stopped, and he was, you know, I told my children, see, when you don't take your studies seriously, you will be in this line. So if you take your studies seriously, because I want to believe that everyone at one point in life got an opportunity.
Oh, yes.
That's why for me, I don't want to believe that because you come from a humble background, so it is, you're a candidate to ending up in a humble way. And that is, by the way, even smearing
Humble is being poor way.
Man, I don't want to believe, because I don't even want to bring the word poor out of my mouth, because I don't want to believe that that is how someone should end up. There was a certain lifestyle, because I have taken a note of how people lead life. There is a certain age that comes with life, like real life, and then it also gives you an opportunity to work. The same time, the early 30s, mid 20s these days, gives you an opportunity to work, gives you an opportunity to see the high-end life. So whatever you do in between there before 40 is going to determine your future.
And Dr. Kachama told me one time, you know, when you are, you're not, okay, for you feel like you're taking your studies seriously, you're not being serious.
You're not.
So, my life is short. When you've not studied, life is long.
Too long.
And I was like, okay, now we're told stuff is not working out, and you're keeping in the humble life. Stuff is just not working out. That's why they keep telling us, utilize your chances.
Yes.
You're not growing any younger. Every day that passes by,
something is added
there are
up
jobs
to
you cannot apply for any at a particular age, and it gets serious. By the way, now before you know it, you've crossed to 50 or 60,
and there is nothing to show.
You're in a humble
But
background.
you talk about those jobs that you cannot. You see, you talked about President Donald Trump, and you see, there is a time. My dream was always to be in the UN, international.
Yes.
But let me tell you, friends, by the time I woke up, 28, they can't take you. They need people of 20, 18
young blood
to get into those fellowships. They don't just take in anyone. So I promised myself that this I have not got, but I must guide my children to get into this space. Because space that is not explored, but yet it is there available. And it is so virgin, and there are no people going in there because we wake up when it's too late. Why? Number one, our career guidance as our education system. Number two, our parents didn't even know these things. They don't even care, because there was, for me, I want to believe there is this group of us where our parents got into something, and then they said that when you become a doctor, you're a successful person. When you become a lawyer, so study hard and become a doctor. What do you want to become? A doctor. What do you want to become? A lawyer. But there is a whole world out there, and it is people like us who have to run it. So when you get an opportunity and you stumble into certain spaces, and then you look at how certain ages cannot even be allowed to access that space. Ngabana bato are the ones ruling. For example, I'll give you an example of volunteering in the UN. 18 years. 19, 20, and they cut. Now you grow old in the UN. Yes. You grow in there. They don't fire you, they don't sack you. You go to the headquarters in the UK, you go to the US, you travel.
They will fire you
They
if
will
you
fire
break the rules.
The rules, and their rules are simple. Rights, human rights,
Sexual
sexual harassment, don't do that. As long as you follow the international law, you are not going to be touched by anyone.
That's very
Man,
impressive.
and these are things we don't know.
Yeah.
Now you find that a parent like this one who is pushing water on a bicycle at that age,
And
first of
whose
all,
health actually is at
is
stake.
at stake. You see, you have talked about the SAGE. The SAGE is the Social Assistance Grant for Empowerment. And this program was enrolled or flagged off by the Uganda government under the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development.
Yes.
Now, this one gives some little money to elderly persons, but not all. Because now we are seeing that the age group of being termed as old is from 60 years and above.
Yes.
But this one collects 71 and above. So if you're not yet 70, you are not going to see this money.
Yes.
And how much is it? Let us go deep. Because this report says that over in 2024, just here last year, over 307,000 older persons were enrolled in the SAGE program.
307,000.
7,000 were enrolled in this program, of which women were more. They are larger because, I mean, whenever there is a census that is carried out, the age group is taken and all, that is how they get to know that this is the bracket we are going to be working with. Now, there is a monthly stipend that each beneficiary receives. Of how much, please? 25,000 Uganda shillings per month. Get 25,000 Uganda shillings and divide it by 30 days.
That's really very small
Oba
money. But let me do the calculations.
That's like 1,500.
25 divided
it's
by
less
30.
than $1.
It's 800 shillings.
Less than,
Yeah.
not even quarter a dollar. Now you are looking at this man pushing a wheelbarrow of water, selling cups. Nagamba, kaninde sente zange
Zigenda
z'abakadde
kujja.
wezinajja nsuubuleyo ebikopo, wezinajja nsuubuleyo ebidomola, wezinajja nsuubule. And you're like, what were you doing in your youth?
See, speaking about that, people need to understand that this SAGE, people that live in the central, older persons, are not mandated to this allowance that comes. And they also need to understand that it's only the north, the central, and the east people that receive this money. The population we are talking about in total, we have close to 987,000 older persons. But if you talk about only 7,000 being enrolled for this program, how about the rest that do not receive this social security grant? But if we look at the constitution of Uganda, that is as of 1997, this did not just stem out from nowhere to start supporting young people. There is a data that backs it up. So the constitution of Uganda as of 1995 says that to make reasonable provision for the welfare and maintenance of the aged. But we do not see institutional health cares for older persons, unlike in the Western countries.
And Angel, you had talked about the people that are entitled to this, but there is a workshop that was carried out by Makerere University, and they said that this research was conducted in the 6 districts of Soroti, Nakapiripiti, Adjumani, Kavale, Kitgum, and Kawempe, in Kawempe division, to understand the ageism that the things that these people go through. And the research findings reveal that nearly 97% of older persons reported at least one or more or more forms of ageism. The same report indicated that 57% of older persons were given support because of their older age. Only 57%.
When you look at 57, let's go back to this 25,000, because I've had a chance of meeting these people, honestly. I went to Katakwi and had a one-on-one discussion with them. They'll tell you, oh, I bought a goat, oh, I repaired my heart. And they'll tell you, but you know, sometimes the money comes late. And so sometimes they spend the money on medication. But 25,000 is extremely little money. I really feel back in the drawing board, they sat down and said, but how can we increase the number? That is why we said that they didn't start from 65, they started from 70. So in order to eliminate different kinds of people along the way. But when you look at this amount, that let us have more people enrolled in the social security or the social protection, so that we can say that, hey, these are the ones we are taking care of. I feel different financial services have been in hand in terms of dispersing this money. First, MTN was entitled to help them, actually still helping them now. Then we also saw Post Bank assisting these people to receive their money. But the problem they said is, yes, the government supports us, but it's not enough. We need this amount to be added or increased.
And you know, in this same article, it talks about there is the Minister of State for Elderly Affairs, Honorable Jidudu Mafwari Dominic, who said that he had a briefing on September 25th, 2024, where he disclosed a number of things. And did you know that the elders are recognized, like they have a day when they're recognized, that's 1st October. And this day is observed globally since 1991, and in Uganda since 1999.
Yes.
But very few people know about it. Though he stressed that the event serves to raise awareness about the needs and concerns of older persons, while also taking stock of the achievements made in improving services for the elderly.
Interesting.
Yes, so he was really talking about this, the elderly people, or like, if we can observe this day so that we know now, like what we're talking about, and October is coming soon, that we know, okay, these people are having these issues. We've talked about the money that they receive, which we feel like it's not fair.
But you know, so that the biggest part in Uganda that has older persons is actually northeastern Uganda.
Really?
Yeah, those people. That's why I'll give you an example earlier. They were being transported to the middle of the city to seek for help.
But you know, I encountered a gentleman who told me, hey, I used to fight for the government, but I've never received my pension up to now, you know, and all that.
From the north.
Yes.
But there is also something that maybe, I don't know if it is really followed up, because in the Uganda's 11th Parliament, 2021-26, older persons are represented through 5 members of parliaments. Now, each member is elected to represent a specific region: Central, East, North, West, and national woman representative. Now, this arrangement was established to ensure that the voices and concerns of the elderly included in the national decision-making process. Now, we are talking about all this, but I'm wondering, this person who is pushing the wheelbarrow, this one who is brought from their home area to come and beg, have we had an elderly representative in parliament stamp their foot and say, this is unfair, that 25,000 is not enough? That we need, if you're giving 25,000, okay, you add them on a medical, package somewhere, so that, but we've not had, I don't know about you guys, but I've not had much engagement.
That's a minister that I've told you about, Minister Dominic, was talking about it, and he started with recognizing this day. Down the side, he talks about it, how he says that it's supposed to increase, but there is a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
And see, stuff is happening because this person is one who represents the elderly. Yes,
But
he's the minister of the elderly.
But there's something that triggers my mind. Government will come out and say, hey, for us, we'll give you 25,000. The rest you have to look for it. But this is a wake-up call for families to understand that, even not to understand, but as an individual, look at the older years. Because old age comes with different things, dementia, different illnesses and weaknesses. So at the end of the day, as someone works, I love the fact that you showed your children and say, if you do not study, this is how you're going to become. Someone is fighting for their health, but they're also fighting to get that 2,000 in order to survive at the end of the day. But in all this, what I really see, we can have the councils, we can have the act, we can have the Constitution of Uganda 1997, Section 4, but what amount of effort are we putting in communally to support these people?
And that's going to be hard, though they're trying. You know, this minister went ahead and said that it's getting hard for the elderly. How? Do you know they find it even hard to get loans or grants, not even in circles?
And many of them don't have actually national ID.
Because he said that, because now, how are you even going to expect this person to pay you back? You talked about dementia. They will forget.
They will forget Baba Banja.
Over now, okay, God forbid, but you don't know when God is going to take this person. So Bambi, they find it hard. Imagine a 70-year-old coming to you.
Omugamba ninayo 10 tata kwatirawo kwagamba omuwa buwi mu kifo ky'omuwola. That's what I'm trying to mean. So that agenda ke wasu mpaye emitwalo 4 ngogani naye 5 tata tagaine abakuba bukubisimu.
They are receiving all these problems. They cannot get money from circles. They cannot get money from banks. It's hard. Because they can hardly compensate. So, Ngabambi is campaigning, like, consider them. However much you say, 25 is not enough. Do you know we have people, those old people,
of course.
And it has become a routine. Like, I'm in Kampala, I'll just take my child. So, the grandparents have people to take care of. At their young age, they're receiving little help. At 25, how many elderly people do you think receive that money?
I want us to look at the funding, the whole budget allocation that is accorded to SAGE. But it says that the SAGE program experienced a substantial 21 billion budget reduction in the financial year of 2024-2025. It decreased from 121 billion in 2023 to 2024, meaning that 100 million was put aside and 21 million was allocated. And then this cut directly impacts program that reach, meaning that the program only supports 197,000 elderly persons, meaning that 109,000 of these are risked or excluded from benefiting from this particular amount of money. Many of them said, how about the amount is increased actually to about 35,000? But even if 35,000 is still little money.
It's still very little
because,
money.
The financial year in Uganda, Katuba, we 121 billion. 2023, 2024. Then 24 to 25, it's 21 billion. That's a really big cut. Almost half of the people who are supposed to benefit.
I don't want to believe that it is, you know, priorities. As a nation, in budget allocations, priorities, I think, are followed. Because if something is not as urgent, and that is why it's very important for us to take care of our youth days before we cross over. Otherwise, it should not be a problem. It should not be a problem. We had a conversation over the weekend with a group of people, and you have raised something very important. So, like these elderly persons, where do they even go for help? For example, we know that in our communities, women have their circles, their you know, cash rounds. They are what the men can also start their kabalaza thing, and for them they also have their way of doing their thing.
Yeah.
But they are all in the name of saving. Let us put money together in case this one needs money. We help them. They bring it back because they are able to. But where do the old elderly people run to?
Sure.
They cannot run to government because it is as minimal as possible. Agamba sakuwadde sente. Muzee wampadde sente naye wazimpadde ddi ate sente meka. Because all these things really come in and bite these people. When an elderly person comes up and says, yes, they give us the money, but they give us late, after 2 months.
Or even
it
4.
comes in after 4 months. Kati ye wezituukira akola atya aluli abaddewo. What was happening?
Me even what I was looking at, like when you look at the 25,000, you know how old people, as time goes by, they're at risk of facing these big diseases. Mbobakati, aina pressure, alina diabetes, like those funny diseases that are quite expensive actually. And you know, when you also look at the budget that you read, research was done by UN. Ngeraga ntino abakadde bagenda kweyongera.
Sure.
By 2047, people are they're going to be very, very many. So when you look at that budget, you ask yourself, okay, is this even going to be enough? Because first of all, the money comes very late. This actually, Honorable Dominic said that despite all the challenges, yeah, there are some programs that are aimed at helping these people.
Like,
he talked about the PDM, which it has benefited very many vulnerable elderly people, and he talks about the savings and the circles. Due to perceptions that they lack the capacity to borrow and repay.
Sure.
So, awezijira mboni zibayamba. And say that though the minister expressed his concern that it is both morally and practically unfair to expect the frail elderly individuals, to particularly those above 70, to participate in repayment schemes.
But you know, so they speak about repayment schemes. These elderly at the age of 70, their pace of walking is not to speed.
And they're in retirement.
And they're in retirement. But you also would find for possibilities that they're impaired in terms of physical impairment to walk. I was drawn to tears when I saw this gentleman go in the hut, mukasisira, in a kavera. Najayo, I think it was his voting card or what, and he pulled out his book papers and he came out and showed me and said, you know, now this is what we use whenever we're going to receive the money. And I looked and I'm like, you know what, this guy is keeping these things very, very, very much because he knows he shouldn't lose
His life depends on
his
that.
life depends on it. But the repayment, I love what he has said. Chichi.
Naye, do you know
Hamuwabuwe.
do you know, okay, not even just the government, even us, bananyini bakadde abo. Do you know when we don't take care of them, it is wrong?
True.
It is wrong.
Very true.
Because they say that first of all, they experience physical abuse,
Yes.
financial abuse, emotional abuse. So also not taking care of them. Like that. These are your old people. That is abuse according to the law. Now, if you only look at the government to take care of your old people, and I don't know why usually families, when their people grow old, they say they neglect them. That's why the older people actually say that they prefer to be in these homes.
So when we come back on, how many of us are taking care of our parents? Well, our dear audience, if you are joining us right about now, we're looking at the social protection in terms of the support that is given to the elderly or older persons. Older persons in Uganda are considered from the age of 65 going onwards. What is your thought on the 25,000 that is disbursed monthly? Do you think that is adequate for them, or the government should improve it? Should we also introduce institutional older persons care units? You can use the number 0746405060 okutweyungako oba tag on our social media handles. That is a Promise TV UJ on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, or even YouTube. We'll be reading those comments as promptly as they come in. Let's dive back into the discussion. Back to how many of us, because we left the village to come to the city to support our parents. But do you know you come to the city and you find the cost of living in the city
is too high.
And so sometimes people get deviated that instead of sending this money back home, someone will start maybe trying to get a wife and then splashing the money in getting this kind of wife. Yes, so someone is getting their money, but the girlfriend is saying, send me money, send me money. But how many of us are having the practice of sending our older persons some money? Or you can include that 40K monthly as a routine.
And you know me, one thing I have learned when it's, okay, as I grow, is that every penny matters.
Sure. Exactly.
Even 1K is appreciated. You've met someone, no more lukumi, and they are very grateful. Or even you. And you're grateful for that 1,000. So me, I believe you don't have to have a lot. There is a time my cousin told us, you guys, let's go and meet and see. My grandfather would call him Papa. Don't look at the money that you have, even the little, because they need company. All they want to do is to see you. People, it's sad when you go to see your grandfather. What's your name? And every time you have to explain yourself, to describe who you are, to tell them your background. But me, I have learned that even 10K, it's enough. Like Katwanga Manti, my girlfriend needs money and all that. I'm thinking, get 10,000, put it on the old man's phone. Aleke gamba sali de choka nino mwana mchibuga. I think it would make me cry if I had someone telling me my father went asking them for money, if I can do something about it. So let's not forget.
But you see, what Sue is talking about is actually very serious, and they don't need much.
Sure.
They don't need much. They, before my aunt passed on, beginning of early, 2 months ago.
No, actually, I think a month ago.
A month ago. Can you imagine? She would just say, "Tell my daughter Jean, my zesta is done. Tell Sheila I need my bread."
Oh dear.
Like, they don't need much. Like here kubanga kati, she has had it all. And at that moment, jukila baba bazeyo the other baby stage ya baby. Now I want zesta. Tell Jean she's the one who knows my zesta. Every other person can buy it, but she, for her brain locked and say and knows Jean yandeteda ko zesta. That mugambe alete zesta. So now you just send in the 20K, you buy the zesta, have the bread, because, and one thing maybe we should look out for again as children today, before even I talk to us the parents, let us try to secure this for those times. You already embeera gwoba ogiraba nti no katomanyi kino ekintu kijja. What do? Get a plot of land, start depositing. Mama muteekeyo in oba 1 room oba double room oba 2 bedroomed, muteekeyo eyo, let them settle. Put banana plants there so that she knows ainake tooke every month. And first keep quiet. So that you settle them. But there is also something that we had a conversation, a very good conversation with a group of friends over the weekend, and they were saying, you know what, when you are like we are here working, please, can you work for yourself? These children, that we are fighting, thinking that, no, let me buy land, I leave them an inheritance. It is not even for you. The inheritance, even the Bible talks about, is not these earthly things. Yes. You show them
What
the way
you've
of the
told
Lord,
them.
and they will not depart, and God will help them on their journey.
Yes.
Sort yourself.
Sure.
Sort yourself out. If you don't have land, as you are working, acquire a piece of land.
Sure.
Put there a small unit. Because you don't need, I have found out even these big houses are nothing.
True.
These children leave you in there and you get depressed. And by the way, I want to believe, I want even to believe that that these elderly people die of depression faster than any
true.
other
And
disease.
loneliness.
And loneliness. Kuba ogenda n'otunula ebisenge byonna biri awo. Kyova olabanga kati abaana agenda n'azaala mu town.
Spouses that maybe loses the spouse, and after like 8 months, the other spouse also passes away.
But you know, the thing is, even statistically, it is known that women will last longer when their spouse dies than when a woman dies, and the man will live over within over 2 weeks. 1 month. Omusajja aba akutukanga agenderera agamba banaye nfa. And I don't know why, but I want to believe that if we took care of us, take care of yourself.
Yes.
By the way, with a minimum, with a bare minimum, nebobanga for you, it doesn't matter, because these days, I mean, getting a job that gives you 500K is an opportunity, first of all. Now, when you get it, how are you apportioning it? Me, I have come to believe that the issue of social security is actually most important.
True.
Knowing that I have Sue by my side. Even if anything happens and my things happened, God forbid, around me, nayenga Sue is there, nagamba, this one we shall walk together, we must do life together. Get us a church community. Mulaba bino ebintu abantu bye batambule na mugongo ne bagenda what with their friends, you know, get time off, go with your friends, so that you build these relationships, those bonds, make them strong to an extent that even when your life around, the children have gone to university, your spouse God has taken over, what has happened, you still have a life and you have reason to live. Because I look at older people, that because now, okay, there is also this other group that also gets issues. They've done life together with their friends, and then their friend passes. Then that person gets into depression.
And usually they start dying in a line.
In a line, and just like Sue said, wabeerawo time ng'osaba Mukama akutwale naye nga takutwala. Those are the longest years you see.
Dewa Cyrus Agamba, you're very right, madam, and I agree 100%. But I want to give a live example about my mom. My mom, I think she's clocking 50 very soon.
She's young.
She's a baby.
So she called me last week and she said, mwana wange, ekibiina nnoze nakivuddemu kiri ekimpola ssente. Ngamba naye omanyi gundi mu mwezi gw'Okumi ate olina okungulirayo success card osobole ozinsindikire. And me, I began to realize, okay, now Angel,
It's your time.
It's your time. It's your time.
You've now taken over.
You've now taken over. And I was like, hey, so the Chibina, she was always going to get money. Now she wants me to inject some money in her business in order to be growing. But our viewers, when was the last time you sent your parents some? Because if you left home to change home, then you must also be able to support them. Gye wayogedde ku kya zesta omukadde ng'asaba ku zesta naye n'ekyo kyensudde ku bakadde n'omusindikira gye mitwalo 2
n'abeera nako wano.
There's even some confidence and courage
Yeah.
they speak with in those community meetings. You may not be getting the whole big money or what, but that moment when that kafoteke hits your account, say ezo kanzerekereza musindikire 30, I will hustle to make sure that I get more.
You know me, I have learned stuff from as I grow. Yeah. You know, whenever I send any of my parents money, there is that prayer that they make.
Yes.
I'll tell you, even though it's 10,000. And recently my mother told me, by the way, so those prayers work. Your big brother testifies, and surely when you look at his life, it's different from ours, meaning he's the big giver. But a few days, my father got sick. This morning I was thinking, yeah, okay, I think now it's time I think about life insurance for my father, medical insurance, because as I told you earlier, jeba komokula, waliwo ebintu ebibaawo bw'asina yaradde kino yaradde kiri, and sometimes you're not financially stable to keep sending money to take care of those things. But if you had the insurance, no manyanti, he has a card. In case of anything,
This one
he can
covers
access.
the whole year.
Yes, he can access. So me, I think we should be very sensitive because batugamba nti obeera muto, but as you grow, you then become a baby again. Now it's our time to take care of these older people. You have the opportunity. Or now you're working. Don't forget.
I need answers to something. Whenever I send 5-figure amount to my mother, she will call me, she will pray for me, she will send me a message, mwana wange zijidde mu budde. When I send her 6 digits, I want to give him try call me or 150. I'm the one who has to always look out for. When I send that 50K, she's like, come on, but many of these things, I love the fact that if we understand that the blessing is in our parents, we can go a long way better. So there's no amount that is too small for them. There's no amount too big for them. We all have to take action.
And you don't always have to send because there is a need.
Very true.
Muwele is omutwalo, but how much is a chicken thingy now? Chicken, how much is it?
There is one for 15, there is one for 20.
MTN is interesting. It will ask you reason.
If
you're saying your fellow MTN number,
chicken.
like lunch, supper. And you know, at times I put for my father, God has provided. And he's like, indeed.
Wow.
And I'm like, so and by me, I feel like now I've known the ground where to invest.
Yes.
I'm okay not eating as long as my big people are fine. That blessing is big enough.
In something, you see this, just like Sue is talking about, this is fertile ground.
Yes.
Sure.
There is ground I have come to realize that is more fertile than another. When Angel, you give me money and then you expect me to return it, this is not fertile ground, and neither are you my fertile ground. But investing in land, in a ground where you don't expect anything, then at random, someone just calls and blesses you. I'd rather that ground. And kuba tugenda ne tubitunuulira ne tugamba I have a girls' day out, I have a boys' day out, let me go with my gango, forgetting there is somewhere that this money would have been invested. And it does not come back with substantial or something that is tangible, but the blessing is always in there.
Very true.
But I also want us to talk about the issue of having a saving culture. Ugandans, bagamba, we are not good at saving.
True. But you're good at eating life.
We are good at chopping life. Kakati zinembeera ez'okugamba nti kandye abaana balikola ezaabwe. Mukwano, oba you try saving. Oba you try saving, gendako mu bibiina. Kubanga, let me tell you something. Right now, for example, I have seen people, and it is mandatory, for example, in this nation, for government to save for you. Now they save for us by force. That is why private organizations don't have to shy away from registering being a taxpayer, because when you're a taxpayer, you are automatically enrolled into the NSSF now. It comes with that package. Like URA knows about your organization, then of course the NSSF comes in and registers your workers. And because if you don't save for this person who is chopping money, they are going to become a problem in this nation. Now what does the saving culture in Uganda very briefly do? Government makes sure that if you are in a private organization, it's okay, you go to the NSSF.
Yes.
They say your organization must save for you money with the NSSF. If you are not in private and you're in the government, there is the saving, those their benefits. Anyway, they save for you the gratuities that you get after you have retired. They save for you. The only time, and I see people fighting. I see people fighting to get their money that they have saved, even
And
before
had earned.
and had earned, because they have moved out of the country. You let it make money for you, because every day, if it stays with, it is on record, and we are not even advertising for the NSSF, but it is on record that it is one of the best institutions that has a good interest rate, you know. So you get it, throw it there. Wotambudde bibyo gwegenda bibyo. Sente zireke zikuzalire. You don't know. There is always that year that happens and everything has locked down. You cannot enter to get a job. You didn't start a business. You were not even business minded. Even the business you started has collapsed. And that money is always there.
You know, and NSSF came out last week and said that 75% of the NSSF savers and the big money they receive come from the central region.
From the, yes.
And I don't know why people worry. Recently, a friend of mine lost her mom, and she was doing well. Katinga, this lady had invested in farming, and tell you what, when she passed, the children knew mommy had money in SSF. So all they had to do is to know the procedure, what you're supposed to do. You're going to go to this office, then you'll be able to get your money. And surely they got this money. Because time comes, maybe you've left children, some are in school, you have businesses that have to keep going, but the children don't have the money to support the business. They got this money, put it back, because he kept telling me, Susan, when I get this money, everything is going to fall into place. And it did. So at times, I think we look so clear.
Naye Susan, nekino tukyogereko because the time is of course spent. But nga bw'ojjayo zino essente maama wo nga bwe yazikuterekera naawe terekera ababo, so that there is continuity. Abaana ate tebakula ne basanga you don't have NSSF, you didn't work for government to get gratuity, you are not in a UN worker, nga tebayina we beekutte. Nawe kolayo akantu nga ke bakukolera kano, so that it is a continuous process.
Junior could be right, but this is what I'm looking at. You see, those opportunities are limited. But for a parent out there who doesn't have access to these opportunities, we say that inheritance, it's not necessarily the physical things that you leave for the kids. Teach the children how to work.
Exactly.
Teach them how to work. Bagambe, there are these examples. Or to Gambia, the UN. Personally, I didn't know that you can enter at 18. I saw my mama pushing me, and I was like, what's
that?
She didn't explain. But single there is this opportunity. You talked about socials.
Yes.
You have a friend in UN. Introduce the children. Because there you've made for them aware. I've seen children they're looking at
their own
thing. So just show them the way. Teach them. I have a friend who taught their child how to save. The girl made 4 years recently. And as amazed. Kati omwana ngo yakula ne culture. I need to save my money for this school. I need to, and I'm sure such a person can't suffer in old
There's
age.
someone very important who in this nation, at least, you know, they were saying that, you see, when you are going to work in your farm, go with a child.
Yes.
Oba tuukayo ne bimubowa
Neebaka.
n'atunula bubi n'anyiiga omutwe mutwale.
They can never forget.
They can never forget. If you have a business, muchikubu, mutwale. If you are doing, I don't know, any small business, mutwale, you let them do, pack, collect, help, bring water, do this, do that, mutwale yo. So that they will understand this is how they make money.
And Jim, that thing is right. There was a time I used to sell clothes from home. And my son, I noticed, he was 1 year. I noticed when someone comes home, ngajaye engoye ezo.
Londam.
Marketeer.
That's like 1 year old. Amanyi weziri. So when you come, we have business in the house.
But me, this is how I want to sign off.
Yeah.
That communal initiatives are also, let's embrace them.
Yeah.
Where we support our elderly people. And as someone is growing older, they may not think about it, but it will dawn on us heavily to take care of them. G, I think the biggest take I want today's show is you're not, that paycheck you're receiving is not just for you yourself, but also for your parents. It's your responsibility. It's now time to take care of them. And so community initiatives are one of those things we need to embrace. If it's a community group of older persons, we can adopt those initiatives.
Yes. Well, I want to honestly believe that before we even cross over to the elderly part, we have a role to play as youth, as, you know, as we transition. All of us have a role to play. And your role is to start now to save for that future, so that you don't abuse the government. Government tetujivuma nnyo batuwadde sente ntono ate biki otandika kati however small, save it up, however little, save it up. And I also want to encourage you know, the abafumbo. If you are lucky and you have a partner and you are able to save together, so that you know that you have something substantial. If you have, we mutuuka around 45, bino ebyogamba nti nate gwe enjo kola ebibyo nange nkole, get a family business, mutandika okusavinga up, kijja bayamba in future.
Jen, me what I want to say is that before we hand over our responsibilities to the government for our parents, let's take responsibility.
Yes.
Let's take responsibility. I don't know why us Ugandans we don't take much attention. We don't give our parents much attention, and it's bad. It's really bad, because even the Bible tells us to honor our parents, and that's also honoring. But maybe what I would want to say is that save. It's very, very necessary for yourself. I remember my mom telling me nga tokulanti emirimu tejita enjala yetta. And as you're a youth right now, kubanga youth wa Uganda koma 45, you have to use this time to maximize so that you prepare for the future, as Jill and Angel were saying. So you do your best to work now, save, be as busy as possible. We still have enough strength to work.
Wow, it's been an intensive, informative, and great discussion. And very many people, by the way, have woken up.
Yeah.
But then you realize you've forgotten the most core things. So I believe this discussion today has been really a great wake-up call. But from us to you, want to say thank you for being an extremely great audience. And we want to sign off and sign out right here and right now. From us to you, want to say bye-bye. And of course, coming up is Kindergarten. Happy Mother's
Day.